Good evening. My name is Miss Jill Louise Starr, and this week I'm going to be discussing police brutality in Upper Passaic County, New Jersey, and the problem it's becoming. And no one seems to be investigating it. I know that my friends on Facebook have seen the videos that I made because I myself personally was beat up by two cops in West Milford, and one of them currently is the publicly elected mayor now in Vernon Township, New Jersey, who was formerly a West Milford detective named Harry J. Shortway Jr., if you only knew. Anyway, if you'd like to see that blog, I have it on YouTube. But tonight I'd like to talk about the Wanaque Police Department, and what I'd like to discuss here is my friend Joanne Saravia, and 2 counts of police brutality and abuse of power that occurred in Wanaque, New Jersey, at the hands of the Wanaque, New Jersey Police Department last year. One of them to my best friends, Joanne Saravia. Meet Miss Joanne Saravia. It was approximately 1.5 months ago when Joanne came to me explaining whereby herself and her property were illegally searched, and thereafter she was improperly arrested, or I should say illegally arrested, in Wanaque, New Jersey for having one single antidepressant capsule of a drug called Effexor, which her psychiatrist had her taking per legal prescription, which it fell out of her prescription bottle into her pocketbook, which actually happens to me all the time. As you can see, I take a lot of medicines, and I have prescriptions, and very often the top comes off, or I shake my purse, or I'm walking around, and 1 or 2 of my capsules can fall in my pocketbook. It happens to a lot of people, you know. It is illegal to have them out of their prescription containers, but come on, I mean, to have one Effexor capsule, and Effexor is a drug that you can't even get high on. It's basically for antidepressants for a very depressed person. It doesn't make you high. You can't get off on it. And she had one that had fallen into the bottom of her purse, and for this the police gave her a very difficult time, arrested her, and gave me a very difficult time thereafter. So this was the problem at hand. Joanne was going to court because she had one Effexor antidepressant out of its container, which fell in the bottom of her pocketbook. So she came to me and she said, what can I do? I have this big problem. I said, what's the problem? She says, well, the Wanaque, I'm an indigent person. She had no money, no job, living out of her car. And she says, I have the problem, and the problem was this. She said that I can't get a public defender. They refused to give me a public defender in Wanaque, New Jersey, even though she legally was entitled to a public defender because she was indigent. I told her that she was entitled to a public defender, and I told her that I would go along. I'd come to her to Wanaque as a witness, and she would ask the court clerk and the judge, or whoever was there at the time in front of me, to be given a public defender because she was entitled to a public defender, and I would therefore be a witness for them having denied her a public defender, which is everybody's 6th Amendment constitutional right as a citizen of the United States of America. So as the story goes, about a month passed by, and we both went to court, and we went into the Wanaque Municipal Building, and she went up to the court clerk, and she asked that she be given a public defender. She stated she was homeless, had nowhere to live. She was basically living on the street wherever she could, and she needed a public defender because she had no legal background, and she felt that she was in her rights because she was taking this drug legally, and she even had got a doctor's note stating that she was taking the drug legally. It's just fallen out, and what had fallen out in the bottom of her purse. And I really did not expect to hear, really heard, when ever since so many people get public defenders in America, and it's just so commonplace, I was actually very shocked when I heard the court clerk actually tell Joanne Saravia that no, she was not going to get a public defender, even though she was entitled to one by the U.S. constitutional law. I didn't say anything at the time. I just witnessed the incident as it occurred, and I was, like I said, I was in shock. when Wanaque court clerk actually refused granting Joanne her Sixth Amendment right, constitutional right to have a public defender, which is such a very fundamental right in America. And I must say that I have personally witnessed a lot of police brutality and abuse of power, and including nepotism in Butler, Bloomingdale, West Milford, Greenwood, and Upper Passaic County, northern New Jersey in general. It's just venal corruption up here, and somebody needs to investigate, because Governor Chris Christie certainly was buddies with the people that beat me up, Harry J. Shortway, and certainly he's not doing any investigating. So I would ask that some internal affairs officers, someone independent such as Ken Starr, someone that is independent of the law enforcement officers themselves, and in of themselves come and investigate. In any event, Joanne was scheduled to go to court about a month later, and I said that I would be there, and I would witness in court her asking for a public defender, and the judge himself denying her Sixth Amendment right to a public defender according to the United States Constitution. So we drove to the Wanaque Municipal Building and entered it together. Because Joanne asked me to come to the court with her. About 2 weeks later, Joanne asked me again to come to the court because her case was going to be heard, and she was again going to ask for a public defender in front of the judge when she was going for her arraignment. I acceded to be her witness. I was a little late arriving at the Wanaque Municipal Building in Joanne's behalf that day. And I've been to almost every redneck court building up here in Passaic County, New Jersey. They don't have metal detectors. No one's ever searched. They just walk in and they go into court. The first time in 25 years, and what do you know, they decided to search me, and it was a real hot summer's day, and everybody in the court building actually looked at me because I got a good body, and I was wearing something. I was just wearing a one-piece bathing suit. It was really tight to my body and a little tight skirt. You could just look at me and know that there was no gun by just looking at me. I was wearing practically a bikini with a little short skirt. There was no gun there. Anyone could have said, but the police said that they wanted to search me for guns. First time in 25 years I've ever been searched anywhere, but they want to search me for guns in a bikini. So I said, fine. They took me to a little room, and they sexually abused me because they touched my buttocks and my vaginal area, and they said they were searching for guns and drugs. They didn't come up with anyone, and everyone said, what were they doing? And anyone could see with what you were wearing, and it looked pretty good. They said that we could see right through to your body that you didn't have anything on you, not even anything. Or we could have even seen that you were wearing such tight clothing. And I said, yeah, I know that. You're correct. Anyway, after my little body search and sexual harassment by the Wanaque police, I walked into the courtroom. They let me go in. And I was just in time because Joanne's case was heard last. I walked in, and Joanne asked the judge that if she could have a public defender according to her Sixth Amendment constitutional right, and she was indigent, homeless, and had nowhere to live. She had no money, and she was on public welfare, which is only $200 a month. That's all she had to live on because she was so indigent. And the judge actually said no. At that point, I rose and I said, may I speak, Your Honor? And he said yes. I introduced myself, that I was a representative of the Law Project Center, which is a United Nations accredited non-governmental organization, and I said I was here to observe the case, and I observed it twice before. Joanne was not being denied her constitutional right to a public defender, and I wanted to know why this was going on. And he became very disturbed and stopped the court case immediately and asked me to leave. Obviously, he knew he was breaking the law. He told me not to return into the building, into the courtroom again, and I was kicked out. But she was not given a public defender there. 2 weeks later, she was finally given one. She came and she told me, hey, I've got a public defender. And I said, hey, good. I don't know what happened, but she finally got one, and that was what that was what was important to me. Anyway, I just wanted to tell this little anecdote, and I also wanted to say about 3 weeks after that, her boyfriend, a gentleman named Peter, had his jaw broken and about 10 teeth knocked out by Wanaque police. And I said to her, what the hell happened here? And she said that even though there was a warrant and he ran, it's against the law for about 6 police officers, when all they have to do is grab you and stick handcuffs on you, to punch you in your mouth till you're bloody and knock 10 teeth out. That's against the law. That's what they call police brutality. And he did win a court case against the Wanaque police for that for several $1,000s, which I am was very glad to hear about, because it's rare somebody wins a case up here. Even when I had my head beaten against the police car by Harry Shortway's friends about 7 times, and my kids were taken from me for over 15 years, and I didn't even know where they were, I couldn't even find any attorneys to take my case, because they all told me that they were scared to get their families involved with Harry Shortway. He was so involved with organized crime. And I went to Fort Dix, and I talked to a man named John, who was the internal affairs officer for all the police in New Jersey, and he said he would not even involve himself because Harriet Shortway was involved in too much organized crime, and that I would have to ask some federal agent, someone at the federal level, because he could not even help me at the state level in the Harry Shortway criminal case that I wanted to file for police brutality. That's all I wanted to say this evening, and I hope that if you're coming in my neck of the woods, be safe and be careful. The cops are dangerous. They need to be investigated. Thank you, and good night.